only Venessa, I hope I get this right, Giunta.
Oh, good.
You gotta look at my last name. See, look at my last name.
Yes.
See that?
Yes. You
That's
have
a monster.
the basis to get the
yeah. Now, it could have been Giunta. That was another possibility, but I was going to go, right, it was another possibility, but I figured Giunta.
It's Italian, so
yeah. Well, it's not only that. It's just somehow I feel if it was Giunta and I was wrong, you'd be more offended. That's what I figured.
I have heard every possible pronunciation for my last name, and some pronunciations that don't match my last name at all. But so you would have been fine.
Okay, so my personal favorite for my last name was actually a telephone. Can Telamigo. It has nothing to do with my last name, but my last name is Pantalaresco. I popped because at least phonetically it was like, okay, you know what? I'll give it to you. It was nice and it works. It totally works, right? Although my one-time just all-time favorite, like awesome ones is Rob McLean from my grade 6 VIP class. You go Josh Pentella, Josh Alphabet. I look back on that. Rob McLean is a genius. He
just should have called you Josh Penn and Teller.
Penn and Teller? Okay, that would have been okay. But you see, at 12 years old, Penn and Teller wasn't cool for us. We probably didn't know who Penn or Teller was. I'm just saying straight up. Like, older people appreciate Penn and Teller because they're sophisticated enough that's the joke. I first saw them on Babylon 5.
Oh, Babylon 5.
Yeah, that's when I first. That's because they're in one episode in season 5.
Yeah,
they're in one episode in season 5. The one episode Neil Gaiman wrote, by the way, for Babylon 5. Yeah, Neil Gaiman has written television. Most people don't know that.
Yeah, I know. He's written Doctor Who as well. He wrote the TARDIS, the heart of the TARDIS. No, it's the TARDIS is the Doctor's husband, something like that. It's when the TARDIS becomes a woman.
Okay. I see. I'm not cool with Doctor Who, and here's why. And don't hold this against me. It's picking your Doctor Who to start with. Everybody's got like their own favorites. I kind of feel like for me, this is the thing. Once I figure out my shit in the next month or two, I'm going to finally be cool enough to catch up on shows I haven't watched in a long time. Yeah. I'm still on Fairy Tail, Japanese anime Fairy Tail. I'm still on it. I'm good with it. I have no problem being old enough to like cartoons. I am that
totally cool.
Mature. Yeah. But I had a fun story. I figured you would appreciate this story because I get the feeling, because you're a helpful person, and I'm sure you get these people that try and take advantage of your kindness. So last night I had a gentleman representing a marketing and PR firm. I won't name it because I don't really feel like getting anybody in trouble today. So at first it was just like a buddy of mine passed my name to him, and I figured, okay, cool. I don't mind interviewing. I've done this with other PR firms, right? I'll interview their clients because why not? It's good. It gives me content. It gives them press. I have a big enough audience now that I definitely am worth the listen for people to put their stuff on the show. So I figured it was. Next thing I know, I get this like giant spiel of joining that we can get you projects and interviews and guests. And like I said, I like content. I always do. Mm-hmm. Then they're like, and here's the thing, but we want to put our logo on your show.
There's the rub.
So now
pay up some cash.
That's it, right? See, no. See, that's not what I got. This is what I got. We'll share. No, right? It's about the community. As I said to Stephen last night, well, you're helping the community anyway. This is about you, because otherwise, why would you want your logo on there?
Right.
So, right. And so he got on. So I'll mull it over because this is not the first time something like this has happened to me. So this is what I decided to do. Hold on a second. I said sip some tea. Feel free to sip as you go too.
It reminds me, though, of those people who are like, oh, I have this great idea for a book. Why don't you write it and then we'll split the profit.
Yeah. No. So this gets better. So I decided. So I did a little research because I always feel like it's worth researching people.
Yeah.
Right. I researched the individuals in question. One of my clients used to be one of their clients, so they did. Oh, so yeah. So other work I've done for them. Their story was less than stellar. And I'm in a great position with this podcast where I don't like have to give a shit to anybody, right? I mean, again, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I mean, I get great people on the show all the time, you included. So I don't need to jump through any hoops at this point in the ball game. So I need them less than they need me.
Right.
So this is what I did. I gave them. I actually wrote. Also, here's the other thing. A couple of their press releases were multiple pages. I consider press releases on multiple pages kind of like a faux pas. I don't want to read a 3-page.
Yeah.
Like I just don't. And I'm speaking as a media guy. Mm-hmm. So this is what I did. I gave them 3 proposals. The proposal for what it would actually cost to get that logo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for how much a month, what they would actually get. I came up with what I thought was a fair deal for that, right? What I'd be willing to do and what I think is fair. And upon the proviso that even if their clients no-show those days, I get paid. That's a provision that I put in that contract. That was proposal 1. Proposal 2 is what I generally do with most PR firms. Is I like my autonomy. They understand that, but they want their audience to have content. So they kind of work around my schedule, and everybody's happy because it's not like I keep the stuff like forever in obscurity. And this has worked for an author's PRs, and it's worked for, you know, I have a PR relationship with a heavy metal company. So I get to do a heavy metal band. So this works. Like I know this works. So I made that offer as well. And I figured, well, you know what? I'm hoping if he cares about his clients, these individual, he'll take. That's a reasonable proposal. I'm not asking for money, and you're giving me content, and I'm not mentioning your company or your logo, but I'm at least serving your clients. Right. And that's just ultimately what it's all about. And then I sent them a little bonus proposal about cleaning up their press releases. Because, and I'm speaking as a media person. This wasn't like me being malicious. It's just like, I'm a media guy. I don't want to read a 3-page.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, and I also corrected them on one thing. I'm not just a particular creative genre. I have writers, comic book creators, illustrators, musicians,
heavy metal
woodworking. Yeah, just as different creative. I like different creatives on the show because everything you can learn from everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah. So so I got one of the most. My response is, "Oh, we thought you were a such and such podcast, not a creative podcast, or we would definitely give you the money." It made me laugh so hard. I laughed my ass off.
Wow. All right.
Because they said no to all of the proposals. Now I didn't expect 1 and 3, but I figured 2 would be good. So now I know, and even if they are listening to this, oh well, I don't give a shit. What are you gonna do, right?
They're lost.
Yeah, I look at it kind of like, this is how I look at it. It's like you didn't even say yes to proposal 2, which I think was a reasonable request. That means you're not interested in your clients, you're interested in yourself.
Right.
So now you've just discouraged me, who has also done things in the comic industry, to work with you as a comic creator. So now also the thing is, that was the cheapest option for option 1. Now that option's double because I am that dick. Hey Maddie, what you doing?
Hey Maddie.
Yes. So did you like my story? Did you like my story?
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that was funny.
I'm sure it happened.
Maddie's got the Go Indie Now Indie Mayhem.
I'm gonna have so much fun. I'm gonna have so much fun when it's my turn. I'm actually creating Talking Indie Mayhem, ladies and gentlemen. So
thank you,
what
Maddie.
that is the losers are going to talk. I am going to talk so much shit about Ron and RJ when it's my episode. I'm going to talk so much shit.
Well, I'm here instead of there, so I'm supposed to be there. But you were booked first, so
yes.
So I will be next week with you, and I'll be able to razz on the winner of mine when he's not even going to be expecting it.
So you and I will be like talking so much shit. That's the whole plan. So much shit. Ron, so much shit.
Yeah. Bob,
and Maddie's like,
I'm coming for you, man. I'm coming for you. So
the other thing I'm going to be doing too, I'm doing 2 more videos this week. I've started doing like creating like a creating commercial content for creatives and people, just because I think something a lot of creatives don't do. And I'm doing a book trailer this week to show what I would do with a book trailer. And that's one, but I'm doing one specifically for Indie Mayhem. I'm going to take my original trailer, and then I'm just going to have all kinds of like, I got to talk to Joe to make sure that I can do some of the shit I want to do. Yeah, but basically it's about me being a sore loser throughout the sponsorship ad. It's like, you son of a bitches, you beat me. Yeah, I know. I totally could do it. The idea, like I said, I'm still trying to get, like I said, I'm obviously trying to get clients with this because I think it's a valuable service and it's something that needs to be done. But the idea is also, if I can show the creativity of different things I can do, right? Someone will look at it and say, this will work here, because it can work anywhere. And that's the other thing about it. It's just getting those first initial people to invest. I think there is always a problem with an endeavor like this. Like, are you trying to take me for your money? I am trying to take your money, but I am trying to give you something in return.
Fair trade. Yes.
Yeah, I'm being honest, right? But and I'll definitely be pimping that at the end. But I'm gonna have some fun with it, because Indie Mayhem is a very fun show in the sense that Ron and RJ are just, they're silly together.
Yeah,
they're silly.
They work really well together.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ron sometimes dead. I don't think I'd want to play poker with Ron. I don't think I'd want to play poker.
I love his dry sense of humor.
Oh, I like it. I love it. I love it.
He cracks my shit up every time he's on the screen. He just comes out of left field with something just dry, deadpan, and it's hilarious.
Here's the thing. He's so good at it, though. Every once in a while, you wonder if he's serious. There's that moment.
Yes.
You're just like, is he serious?
It's a joke. Got it.
Yeah, and so, like, would you plan to play poker with that man? If you could keep that dry wit that whole time, I think he'd take my money, like all of my money. It wouldn't even be fair, because I wouldn't know. Like, he'll have something like he'll be playing like pocket fours and just kick my ass all night long, because he just tells bad jokes.
Josh would be like from wall to wall. Ron just be like boop boop boop.
No, I just like, you're taking my fucking money.
Yeah, he's smacking you around is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's smacking me around. Oh, no, I might be just on the table weeping. That's probably what I end up doing.
That can happen too.
Yeah, I think a
good cry isn't anything to be ashamed of.
No, it's not. And when you're getting your ass handed to you in poker, you can cry at that, depending on how bad it is.
Yes.
Depending on how bad it is. Right?
You can cry.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
What happened? He took my monies. Nah, it's Just gives me a tissue right now. Poor bastard. But so folks, my episode's next week. If you guys want to watch it later on tonight, Vanessa's episode's up now. You can definitely check it out.
Yep.
Okay. So we've done a little bit of bullshit, which is great, and we're talking about the things and the stuff. But I don't know much. I actually don't know that much about you, right? I met you. Our common denominator is the one and only Joe Compton.
Yes, it's one of my favorites ever.
Incredibly sweet guy.
Yes,
incredibly sweet guy. That's the thing about Joe. He's one of the sweetest guys in the world, and I think he's one of the. I think he's also one of those understated. I think, like I said, it's going to be interesting this year. I can feel it. He's transitioning to the next phase of whatever his career path is. Yep. And so I know, like, this is probably going to be the last year he's on Go Indie now in front of the camera.
Which will make him happy, because he actually prefers to be behind the camera, I think.
Yeah, no, he does. But I mean, he's still going to be part of. I think This Week in Indies will always be his show. Yeah. But I think the rest of it, you can just tell he's going to be farther and farther away.
Except for the news show. The news show he's going to stay with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that'll be his thing, and that's going to be his thing. That's his passionate thing. So like that's where he's coming to. It might be a little bit, and who knows, maybe I'll be doing some kind of weird ass show on there. I just
Josh's weird ass show.
That's right. That's what's going to be called my weird ass indie morning with Joshua and Teleresco. Coming at you, yeah.
with Joshua Penn and Teller. Oh wait,
Penn and Teller. That's right. If you were my co-host, you could totally do that. I'd let you just do that every time, and I'd be just like, "Yeah, why are you crying, Josh?" She's get my nerve. Really on the air, because just watch.
It's okay to cry. We've already covered this.
It totally is. This is going to be the crying podcast. I can totally tell. This is going to totally be the crying podcast. But no. So did you? So I guess we'll go back, and then we'll figure out kind of our common denominators here. How long have you been writing?
I've been writing probably I got my master's degree. I got a Master of Fine Arts in writing popular fiction. I got a master's degree in 2008 and a Master of Fine Arts in 2013. So I've been professionally editing since 2008, and I've been writing, but while I was editing, I was an editor for 10 years, and my writing went on the back burner. So I wasn't writing as much, and I wasn't publishing at that time, hardly at all. So, so I've been more actively writing and publishing since about 2018, 2019.
So if I were to take a guess, if I was a guessing man, I would say you probably were really flattered to be doing a lot of cool these editing projects, hit some really cool creative works kind of come to fruition. And I'm sure you learned a lot. But then probably at some point, we're going to say 2016. Probably 2016, maybe a little earlier, but I'm going to say 2016. You probably said, if I don't fucking do this soon, I'm not fucking doing this.
Well, that's yeah. I still would actually probably be editing for the company that I was editing for, but they ended up closing. They were one of the biggest erotic romance publishers, ebook publishers, but they closed their doors in 2018 after like 15 years. So, but I still love editing. I still edit. I'm much more selective about my clients than I was back then. Even outside of the publishing company I was working for, I still did freelance. But I'm much more selective now than I was even then because I have less time. And so I want to work with authors who are serious. I mean, they don't necessarily have to have like a business plan or anything like that. But I want to work with authors that are serious about improving their craft. So I'm much more selective now.
Yeah. So in short, you want people who give a shit.
Yes, exactly. That's perfect.
I totally get that. Yeah. No, I've had lots of different creatives on the show, right? And one of the things is everybody's goals are different. Mm-hmm. My goal is to make a full-fledged living being creative because I am too old to work for other people. I'm too old.
Yes. I'm too old and a little bit too much of a control freak.
I'm not a control freak, but I have like a very interesting little rule about this. Yes. Aww. Now Maddie is a sweetheart. She truly is.
I adore her.
Yeah. So a little thing is I've been quietly giving her some marketing advice. It's been fun to watch her to use it and see more success.
Spread her wings and
writers suck at promoting themselves.
Oh, yeah.
This is something I'd write as a general rule of thumb, but I don't, in one real sense, I don't understand why. It's the same tools, right? Mm-hmm. It's about relationships and storytelling. You can tell a story, right? Mm-hmm. Just can you bullshit with people? If you can do that, you can get a sale, right?
Yes. Oh, thanks, Maddie.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're right, but I think that that's much more about like in-person stuff, and I think that a lot of writers, at least writers, because that's my main circles. I think that so many writers are introverts, mm-hmm. but that doesn't mean that they're not good at interacting with people. It means they generally have to get past, they don't generally like approaching people. So being behind a sales table is kind of good because the people approach you, right? But I mean, I think where we get a disconnect in our brains is online marketing can't possibly be the same as talking to somebody at your sales table, but it kind of is, but I think that's where the disconnect happens.
Well, see, for me, that's totally pro wrestling. So
yes, it is.
It sounds funny, right? But I'm talking like the old. Did you ever see the old 1980s pro wrestling where the guys would be interviewing in the back? Like you ever seen those?
Well, yes, I grew up then, so yes.
Well, not everybody watched wrestling. I'm just
I had a
making.
little brother, so
Okay,
yeah.
okay, totally. I was a total wrestling freak. I totally was. I admit it. But here's the thing: my favorite wrestler of all time is Macho Man Randy Savage.
Ah.
Now, here's the thing. Now, that dude was able to talk people into coming to buildings to watch him get beat up. Okay, I mean, seriously, when you break it all down, that's what he did. How did he do that? He did that because of those interviews in the backstage, right? He was himself in a how should I put that? Maybe himself is the wrong word. He was authentic.
Yes.
And right, he was authentic. And yes, for all the stupidity of the costumes and I'm going to kick your ass, brother, and all that stuff, right? All the stupidity. He felt like somebody real, somebody
and relatable.
Well, even if he wasn't fully relatable, he was so cool. You wanted to hang out with him.
Mm-hmm.
You just did, because there was nothing like him. Yeah, nothing. Right? He stood out, and he was himself. And that's the thing. Like online marketing is the same thing. I cannot possibly be you, right? Right? You're probably a better writer than I am. I'm not even I don't say it was an ego thing. I'm just you got the practice and the experience. So I have to have my big mouth because that's my weapon of mass destruction. I'm good at this big mouth thing. Look, I have my own show, right? So, right? Who knew? But the thing is, it's our product, yes, but it's also our personality.
Us, yes.
Yeah. And art's the same way. It's not the stories we're telling exactly because they've all been told. It's how we tell them.
We're telling it. Yep. You and I are totally on the same wavelength on this. Totally.
Yes.
Because I give a lot of advice about newsletters, about author newsletters. Because one of the things that freezes authors in their shoes is the idea of sending out a newsletter. Every however many, whatever, every week, every month, twice a month, whatever they think that they should be doing. And I was the same way. I was like, what am I going to tell them? What do I talk to these people? who wants to hear from me? But what I found is that if I adopt a conversational tone, just like we're having here, my newsletters are like this.
So my newsletters are kind of like my experiments because I'm learning how to write copy on my audience. I'm doing a little experiment. Yes, Maddie, if you're still here, you've been my guinea pig. I hope you've been okay with that.
All the secrets exposed here.
I'm blunt. I don't so I do combination. I've been doing a lot more of these lately because of the videos I've been making. But one of the things I've been doing is I do motivational stuff. I'll show pictures I draw because why not? It's something I do. And then, I'll have some links and then I do sales stuff. I look at copy. I look at all the stuff I'm doing. I just the last newsletter I did, I have a short story and a Kickstarter coming up in May. So I'm just, So I'm doing, I'm one of those crazy Kickstarter. I'm in that kind of crowd too. So I'm kind of just I'm doing stuff there. I don't care about awards, brother. Pay me. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at this point in my life. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna make it rain. Right. But what it comes down to is I'm learning and I'm putting out newsletters. So I've been looking at sales newsletters. I'm seeing how often they do it. And this is what I've learned. Even with the podcast, with everything else I'm doing, it's about how often you put stuff out.
Oh yeah.
That's what it comes down to, actually. It's not anything else. You basically break the universe with the amount of times you scream out, "Here I am," every time. You just break the universe. Eventually, the universe says, "Okay, we'll give you what you want. Shut up."
That's right. Yes.
It's true. I can't there's no other magic to it. It's, are you authentically yourself? Are you doing the things you should be doing? And are you doing it often enough that people are noticing? Yeah. And once that happens, podcast hit a tipping point last month. I had my first 2,000 download really, really close, week. Not month. Month I've been there for a long time, but week. And so it was I hit a tipping point. And that's just because I've been bombing the airways with my stuff. So they see the universe, stop doing this. I'm like, no, I want more.
That's the creative journey, though. Like the creative journey, one of the most important parts, probably like the most important part, is perseverance. You know, that's it. You know, you can have marginal talent as long as you're learning and persevering, you're going to get success. Like, you know, whatever that might look like, you're going to get some measure of success at least. I mean, there's not really any other option.
well, there is, but it's like I've learned. I'm a big fan of Colleen Doran. I don't know if you know who that is or not. Mm-hmm. She's a comic book graphic novelist. She's a talented writer and artist both. And her thing, and I totally subscribe to this, is the paradox of success. And Captain Picard says something very similar in Star Trek. So if you're a Star Trek person, you'll love this. You can do everything right and still not get everything you want. Mm-hmm. Consequently, if you don't do those steps, you have no chance of ever getting what you want.
Absolutely.
And the Captain Picard variations, when he talked to Data, who lost his little game to this guy, Mr. Data, it is possible to do every strategy correctly and still lose.
Yeah.
It's true. You've got to accept that reality. Life is not fair. That's also a good thing sometimes. Life is not fair. So so do the things you know how to do. Reach out to the people you know how to reach out to. Mm-hmm. Take your swing.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, right? But take your swing. Because it's the only way you're going to know for sure. And even if you're getting your ass kicked, right, which is part of the journey too. You get your ass handed to you. Like, do you really want this? Life goes sometimes.
But I mean, that's where you get most of your learning, is when you fail, right? That's when you learn. You don't really learn as much you'll still learn when you win, but you learn more when you fail.
I think that's why sustained success is so hard. Because you have to be open to what you didn't do right. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot harder to do the more successful you are. Yeah. Hey, my shit doesn't stink. And it's hard to argue sometimes when you're doing really well in spite of everything.
Yes.
That's that, right? It's like, can I really say my shit stinks if this is happening right now? But you have to, like, that is such a hard thing.
Your shit stinks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
But look at the money. Yes, it still stinks. Right. Yeah, but that's how it works. Like, that is always how it works, and it's such a tricky balance. And I think losing is in some ways a gentler teacher. Sometimes, some ways, right? Because
it's harder on your ego, but it also opens up a lot of opportunity for you to learn that you didn't have before you.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's part of the deal. I mean, mm-hmm. it is what it is. It's how you learn, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. It's like you in your failures, you're most open to saying, okay, what else could I do? What else could I see? Like, again, trying to get my first client, like my second client. Okay, how do I get my next client? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing here and there? And dealing with like my own questions, maybe even my own doubts, right? Mm-hmm. Right. I might do the dumb thing and actually raise the price, because sometimes, like, that's a weird thing. Like, sometimes that's the thing. Sometimes you're too cheap.
Yes.
Sometimes you're too cheap. Sometimes you're too expensive, and sometimes you're just waiting to be discovered. And it's kind of a weird game we play, and understanding those things is probably I think the hardest thing. I think this is the thing as an artist. It's your self-worth.
Yeah. And I think that we have so much trouble putting a value to what we do. And I think that shoots us in the foot a lot. Mm-hmm. I actually recently raised my editorial prices for the first time since I went freelance. So since 2008, I just raised my prices a little.
Oh, so I learned my very first freelance gig when I started freelancing in 2020 was with a gentleman wanting me to do a Kickstarter campaign. By the way, for anyone listening to this, my charge for Kickstarter, if I like you, is fuck you money. If I don't know you, it's even worse, right? So just listen, right? Right, because what I've learned in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing was and this is about price point value, right? They wouldn't listen to a couple key things to help me do the best job I could.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized after that, the biggest lesson I learned from that experience was my price point was not high enough. Right? Because if it was higher, they would have no choice but to respect what I said because, right? And for me, especially for when I do things for the first time, it's when I tend to undercharge myself.
Yeah,
because I
sure.
legitimately don't know if I can do it.
Yeah.
Right. And it turns out I really can do it. And then I'm like, I should have gone for more money. Like I really should have just gone. Like I've had that in my head a couple times. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
shit, I should have just gone for more. And that sounds like a really that sounds really maybe really lame, but it's the truth. Like those are the things you learn.
Yeah, it's
doing
psychological. It's
Yeah.
As human beings in our modern culture, if something is underpriced, we undervalue it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if it's priced high, we respect it. So
Yeah.
it's all psychology.
Yes, it is. I would think I don't even think it's a modern thing. I do think it's a universal thing because value is always like whether we want to admit this or not, wealth has always been how we've measured valuable things, and there's some truth to that. Some truth to that too. If it's something hard to acquire, we appreciate it more. Something really easy to acquire, we just don't. Yes. I think that's human nature through and through, right? And so I think and it doesn't make the thing that's easy to acquire truly less valuable. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's just because it was so easy, because we could get plenty more, we don't take it seriously, and we just don't. Yes. Right? I don't think that's just so the reason why, like sometimes folks who are listening, why price points are kind of important, it's for two reasons. The first is what we're just talking about. That value will protect you, not just from people like I dealt with earlier today.
Yes. Yes.
Right? It protects you from those people, but also you love what you do. Fuck anybody coming in and try to make you feel bad for doing it.
Yep.
That's just how I look at it. Right.
Yep.
So, and if you, and also I'm a really petty businessman. If you're arrogant, if you're a prick, so there are things I'm a little bit more forgiving about than others.
You have to pay more money if you're going to be a dick to me, because I'm like, if I'm gonna deal with that bullshit, you're gonna pay for me dealing with that bullshit.
I think I like you. I think I officially like you now. Yeah. Well, again, we do each other in passing. I think there was, how do I put this? There was respect, but there's not that moment where we're like, okay, we're friends now.
Right.
I think that's that moment. It's like,
I mean, we've never really had a chit chat like this.
No,
all of our chit chats have been on shows together.
Yeah, exactly. So we get like glimpses of each other, but nothing serious, right? So so, but that right there is like, no, I officially heart you. But that's the thing. Like, you don't learn that. You don't learn that in the beginning. You just don't. No. You learn that, unfortunately, usually after going through some kind of ringer. That's just the way it is.
And that's also why I've become a lot more selective with who I work with. Because my editing time is very limited right now, and it will be for a while because I'm working on multiple writing projects right now. And so it's important to me that my clients are easy to work with and are serious about what they do, and if one of those two things is missing, then they're going to have to find somebody else because, and it's not that like I'm the be all end all of editors. I'm not. There are other editors. There are lots of other, I mean, I could refer you to other editors if you don't like, or if I can't take you on or whatever, but I have to be very selective.
But that's actually good because honestly, you find better clients that way too.
Yes, absolutely.
When you feel what?
The 80-20 rule.
Oh, what's the 80-20 rule?
The 80-20 rule is an entrepreneurial thing where they say that you get 80% of your income from 20% of your people, meaning the quality people, and you want to get rid of the other ones because you want all of your people to be that 20%. Does that make sense?
No, totally. That's it. Like you try to get clients, and you start getting those clients, right? I have a big mouth, so my clients tend to be people that want to use my big mouth for various things, right? It's like, okay, what can you do? Like this, and this, and I do. But then I want to get to people again who are more serious, who want to do more with what my skills are, and that works my way. That's going to work my way up through the system as time goes on, because that's just how it goes. But it's a process, and you have to go through that process, and it's annoying sometimes because it's like, fuck, why can't I find?
For me, I kind of graduate my people out. It's so one of my big goals as an editor is to help my writers become better writers, you know, but there's some point where they don't really need me anymore. So they move on, you know, and that's great, because like in the process between when I first start working with them and when they decide that, you know, they need a lighter level of editing and not the in-depth stuff that I do anymore, in between there, the work gets easier for me. They still have to pay the same price. I mean, they don't. I give, you know, if it does, it's not going to take as long. I don't charge as much, but you know, like it's easier for me. The more they learn, the better a writer they become, the less work I have. And then at some point, they're just like, okay, I think I can get by with, you know, beta readers and a copy editor and a proofer, you know, because I'm not cheap. I am not cheap. I'm either easier or cheap, but I'm never both.
Yeah. Yeah, I like you. I really like you. No, so here's the thing. I think it depends on the writer and how far up the scale they go too. Because there's a certain because the other thing that happens too is, okay, so we'll talk about your end of it real quick, is you're providing great service. My editor is the same way. There's going to come a point, I'm sure she's going to be very thankful, because when I get myself a little going freelance life, I've had this thing. It's like I've had months where it's like, yeah, and I've had months like now where it's like, I don't know where my next check's coming
yes.
from, right? Yes. I don't know, right? Right. And that's great, and that sucks, and that stuff too, right? It does a bit of both. But the thing about it is, when I'm a little bit more stable, I'm going to be using her services a lot more, because I have 3 books I want to get out this year. 2 of them I need her for, right? 2 of them I'm going to need her for. So when I'm a little bit more stable, she's like, "Oh, thank God you're stable, because I can actually get through you faster, get you going." But again, I think she's worth it and valuable. I think I will pay good money for good editing.
Yeah.
Because I recognize the value of good editing. I don't want shit. And and again, I and it's something I just also recognize, and maybe this sounds like a little bit of an arrogance on my end. You can almost tell which writers are really, I think, serious about this is a hobby, or I want the best thing possible, based on what the amount they put into their editing and the people that they are working with.
Yeah,
that's a bigger giveaway, I think, than anything else.
But I mean, there are also people who would be willing to pay what they need to pay for a quality edit, but just don't have the money. And if you don't have the money, you don't. And one of the things I do, and this actually also helps me decide if I want to work with them more in depth, is like I offer like a new author consult. And I mean, you don't have to be a new author. It can be anybody, but that's what I call it. So that's what it is. Anyway, but it's like $1 a page, and I read it and I make my own notes. And then we get like on a Zoom call for about an hour, and I talk about the things that I see in the manuscript and how to fix them and why I think they're issues. And, you know, we talk about the whole thing, and they can ask whatever questions they want. And I'll stay on longer if they need more guidance or whatever. But that gives me a really good feel, and it's cheap for them, and it doesn't take all my time, you know, because when I do edits, I can do edits. I do not fool around. There is no fooling around, you know? And so when I do the new author consult, it gives me an idea of how serious they are. And it's way cheaper for them, you know? And they get at least a taste of what editing looks like. And then if they come back for a full edit, they get like $1 a page off. But they're also it's a much better manuscript. because they've implemented the changes that I suggested, hopefully.
Oh, so, yeah, I know. That is the way it goes, right?
And that's why, like, I think it's I think it's really important that editing professionals have something that is easier on them work-wise and less expensive, because in a lot of ways editorial services are being undercut financially by people who like to read, who then say that they're an editor, which is not the same thing.
No.
You know, and they'll charge $200 for a 75,000 word manuscript, and there's no way. Like, that's insane.
I'm not going to name names. I have a good example of this. So I had a buddy. He released a book, and novel. He's proud of it. He knew there was holes in the game, but he really wasn't sure about this editor. So what he did was he put a little copy, like a deliberate copy of a mistake for her to see and go through. It's green pen marks. So it's really clear that this wasn't part of the manuscript, but he wanted to see
if she got it. Mm-hmm. Didn't catch it. Yeah.
Yep. So, and I had a hunch too, because when I again, he's my buddy. I'm going to buy his book. He's my buddy. But when I read the book initially, it was like, dude, I could do a better edit job for you. I don't pretend to be like a great editor. I'm more of like a content editor. I can look at a story and figure out story structure. You should probably do this and this instead of this for these reasons. I'm good at that. Line edits, to a point, I could do some line edits, copy edits.
Yeah, I'm not a.
Yeah, it's like it gets dicey when I get to that stuff. So but again, could I have done better than what he got? Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Right. That's why I never put myself in the editing industry. It's not because I don't think I couldn't be a decent editor. I know my limitations. It's one of those things where just like I could do proofing. I could do probably some line edits. I probably could do some line edits for sure. And I could probably do story, like content edits. Or I could edit a comic. Like I could edit a comic book pretty good. But I don't think I could edit a novel. Like a novel's a very different beast.
Yeah. And I probably couldn't do a comic because I don't have that background, you know. But I can't do proofing. I can't do proofing because I get like, I can't not see the content, like the developmental edits that I would do. I just can't not see them. So I would end up doing a full edit and only charge for proofing. So I just ultimately took proofing off the list because I'm like, I clearly do not have the self-control to do that.
It's like, you don't hate yourself that much.
Well, I mean, it's just like, I just can't. I'm all up in the story. So, you know, I want it to be good for them. I want their story to be good. And, you know, but they're not paying for it. So like, yeah. No.
See, I like working at my day job taught me how to do that, because like, how to put this, when you work for a large company, there's a certain level, how shall we put this, a certain like level of dysfunction in a large company.
Yep.
And the thing is, it's part of the nature of the company. You can't fix it. There's just no way to fix it.
Because it's too big.
It's too big. Yeah, it's just too big. No one can watch. No one can watch everything like that. So what? And even if you have giant machines watching everything, the machines would get drunk a little bit. Oh God, right? Just so why are we doing this? Because it's so big. So this bar that was like, when a small company has a high bar, usually a very high bar. Medium-sized company is slightly lower than the small company, but it's not by much. Large company is kind of like here. Right, and large company, what they're praying for, and it doesn't matter what the large company is, what they're praying for is the people they work with are here or here. They're happy with either. They have because this is the bare minimum of which this functions and which the law doesn't go after them. So we're going to keep it there. Because that's the best we can hope for, right? Because if we try going above and beyond, I remember this story. It's just like, so my manager at this day job, had instructed me to do something, and I did it. I was doing it. My he was just right there watching because again, it was near the end of the. It was near the end of the shift. This truck needed to be. I was working in a shipping company. This truck just needed to be finished. They wanted to get it out of there. So just put everything on the ground. We'll sort it later. Just get it out. Okay, yes, boss, no problem. The assistant manager comes up. He's right there. Okay, he goes, "What are you doing? Pick it up." And he's watching her. And you could he literally his eyes just rolled to the back of his head and just like he was letting it go like this. It's like, and just for a minute, I felt sorry for him because I realized something very valuable there. He's stuck with her. He can't escape her. There's no escape. This is what he's got to deal with.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Even though, and he tells her like, I told him to do this. I'm right here watching him.
I'm right here.
Yeah, I'm right here. He's doing this because I asked him to. That's it. Yeah. He wouldn't have done it this way. We're trying to get this. There's this moment he just gave up. Like you can see it in his head. Just gave up because he just realized that. And it's like right then and there, I wanted to give him a hug. I was actually half tempted to give him a hug. Yeah, because what are you gonna do? Like, I get to go home. I don't gotta deal with this, right? You do. Doesn't matter. You're stuck. Like when you walk in, they're there. When you go home, they're probably still there. And you have to figure out how to get them to do something without breaking something in the system. Yeah, and that is that's why middle management is hell, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. My husband is a senior software architect, and he is constantly like, management wants X, but X isn't something that is actually able to be done. So he has to try to explain to them why it can't be done. And they're like, no, but this is what the customer wants. And he's like, well, then you should have talked to me before you promised it. It's just like, they just, anyway.
No. See, no. See, I get that game too. That's a very different game. And I know I know how to screw that game up. So this is what you do. Right. So the game there is, they know it's not possible sometimes, but sometimes they just want to see if you're willing to how much you're going to do mental gymnastics to figure something out, because it's cheaper that way than to hire somebody from the outside to actually figure this shit out. Right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. No, I've seen it. So this is what you do. You royally fuck it up on purpose. Because what you realize, again, this sounds, guys, I'm not encouraging you to sabotage your companies, but you got to understand something. They're giving you something knowing it's not going to work. So
I don't think that's his case, though. His case is they because they don't have any coding experience. They don't know how to build software, so they don't know what is inherently good or bad. And also, my husband's not American; he's European, so he has a whole different kind of work ethic, and that is not part of it. Sabotaging his company is not part of it.
That's fair. No. It's not about sabotage. It just, you recognize, because again, it depends how long the management's been there. Because you understand something. It's human psychology as much as it is. Right. If I've learned this, if you go above and beyond, do an excellent job, and they'll expect it, but also there's no incentive for it. Right? There's no actual incentive for it. So you have to recognize the nature of the company you're in. Now, if the company rewards you for it,
right,
then do it. Don't fuck around. Figure it out. Like, do it. But if the company doesn't, they're saying, well, this is what you're going to get no matter what. Well, then at that point, you're like, well.
Yeah, I think that if corporate America actually cared about its workers, then the workers would care about the job, but that's a huge problem over here.
Well, it's not just a problem. Honestly, it's a problem worldwide. It's not just a problem in North America.
It's problem. In my experience, it's problematic where American business culture has taken over business culture. Because I can tell you right now, it's not like that where my husband's from. Mm-hmm. Like, the companies take care of the people. Like, they don't like spy on you to make sure you're doing your work. They're assuming you're going to get your work done. If you get your work done, they don't care, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so like, whereas here, you know, if you take in some jobs where if you take your phone out for 2 seconds, they're all over you. Never mind that you did everything you need to do right now. It's just such a different mindset. And I'm definitely, you know, I was raised in the US. So like I have that, you know, you screw me, I'm gonna screw you right back, you know, because
But you have to.
it's a defensive mechanism that as American workers we have developed, you know.
Because in the 80s, okay, so I don't know exactly how old you are, and I'm afraid
Old
to
enough.
ask because my hideously beat me. Just and then after this interview, what happened, Josh? I fell down the stairs. I fell.
I'm just sitting here and enjoying your discomfort.
Yes, but I remember coming up in I would. It's funny. I used to go on when I was a very young kid. My dad would take me on the road because I'm trucking. Right, and we would go. I see parts of the United States before anybody else, and you know it was cool. But also, I got to see how a lot of people worked, and I in the '90s there was still a lot of the old work ethic here because it hadn't been eroded completely.
Right.
And the reason the erosion occurred because for two really simple reasons. The people that really knew what they were doing in the 80s and 90s retired without replacements. They wouldn't want necessarily to have these people train the next generations, right? Because for a few different reasons. But what had happened was it created an inefficient workforce. In terms of the IQ of how to work some of these jobs that have been around forever, the workforce was at its absolute apex in the 80s and early 90s. It was at absolute apex. The other part about it is the idea of a disposable people, like in terms of we can replace everybody. Problem is when a company makes that decision to do that, they themselves become replaceable, and that because it goes both ways. The company eventually becomes what it creates. So anyone that comes into a company is now not expecting to last very long, or just it's going to serve a purpose for both parties involved for however long it's going to last. And then it's gone. Like I already know, like my generation's not expected to retire. It's just not going to happen because the programs there are more likely are going to be eroded completely by the time I get there. So I'm going to have to come up with my own way of creating a living. Hence part of the reason why I'm so entrepreneurial driven, because I want those great people in my life, and I'm at right. And now, because that will make it easier down the road, I'll have my own little water wheel or whatever system mechanism in place. I could think of it like a water wheel. You get things you need, you put it into the systems you need to put it in, and you just kind of go with the ride for a while. So all of which to say that all of which to say, like, that's the thing. Like they eliminated the stability of a guaranteed future for their workforce, and they try to make everything replaceable. And when you do that, you create workers who may know what they're doing, but there's no incentive for them to get better.
And that also, it's not just those two things. It's also the politics of business that happened in the 80s when a lot of the regulations and unwritten rules around CEOs and stuff just went out the window. Because if you look from about the 50s through the 80s, you can see steady increase in wages and CEO, and they were, just like kind of went along the same thing. But when you get to the 80s, CEO pay starts rising very highly, and worker pay stays the same. So I think a lot of what happened there, and I'm not an economist, so don't obviously take this as my opinion, but it fostered greed more so than we ever saw before, because back in the old days that were not good for most people in a social sense.
Shut up, Clouds.
Not good for people in a social sense, but in the business sense, business owners felt a responsibility to their workers, which made then the workers loyal to their companies or their business owners. And when money started becoming so such the focus for the business owners, that's when it started going downhill to me. And I think that is what actually caused the things you're talking about.
That started it. Yeah. And that was 1976. And that was when it used to be workers had a share of the profits as well. They had a bigger share of the profits. And in 76, that was taken away.
Yep.
And when that was taken away, that started to create that disparity you're seeing. Right. And the thing about that is, again, this is about much about then and now. It's about that value that a worker has, right?
And so those value.
Human value, and also just like that self-respect. That so ultimately comes down to respect. When the world tells you you were this much, I went back to Windsor, Ontario during the pandemic. So a job I was doing in Calgary for about $22 an hour, there is 15. So at $15 an hour, I don't give a shit. Yeah. It's just I just don't, because I can make the same thing at a McDonald's as I can at these places. So why would I work harder there than I would work hard? Again, it's a human.
Yep.
It's a human psychology thing.
Yep.
Right. You're not going to treat this as any more than what it is. And like I said, now that I'm older / wiser, a boss can't intimidate me anymore, because I'm like, well, what are you going to do? I see the work, I see the job, and they're like, you have to be responsible. No, I don't. It's like, no, I actually don't.
I'm responsible. Pay me more money.
Yeah, exactly. That is it. I one of my last jobs in this one place I went to, they put me on this machine. They didn't train me, or they just put me here by myself. I didn't care. It's like, okay,
I'll figure
do my best. Well, no, I'll do my best. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not. If you're going to put me in a situation where I don't have the experience or the training, I'm not going to go out of my way.
Yeah. That's right.
I will do my best. I'm not here to, like, again, like I said, folks, I want to emphasize this very hard. I'm not trying to sabotage any company I'm working at. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take the hand they're giving me, and I'm going to play it a very certain way. I'm not going to feel like an extra obligation to any company, right? I'm not going to go above and beyond, especially when the pay is not conducive to or induce. Again, there has to be a reward structure there. Am I going to be rewarded for this? Probably not.
Yep.
So why would I go out of my way to kill myself for this?
Yep. That's right. That's right.
And that's what's happened. So now people like me are taking advantage of the workforce for when we need it. And the rest of the time we're just trying to do our own thing. We're not trying to deal with it the same way. Right. And again, that might sound very cynical to some folks out there, but the writing's on the wall. If there was a value.
But on the other side of that, though, if there's a company that takes care of me as a worker, you bet your ass I'm going to work hard for them.
Oh, I know that. That's totally what it is.
Yeah.
I did a little experiment. Like when I was that day job I'm talking about, where I was there for a long time. The last 2 weeks I was there, I quietly took everybody aside and I thanked them for working together with me. Just as a really cool little thing. Some of those people lit up in ways I've never seen. Yeah. One guy in particular, I never thought that was all it took, but he was the happiest I think I've ever seen him in the plant. And I realized something very valuable. And this is the moral of this story, ladies and gentlemen, of these stories that we've talked about here. People appreciate being appreciated. And if you're willing to show that appreciation to them, no matter where you are on the scale of life, people will respond to you favorably.
Yes. And it's also important, it's important as human beings. It helps reinforce connections we have. When I say I appreciate you, I appreciate that you are XYZ in my life, whatever that is. I mean, that reinforces the bond we have, whether that's a personal friendship or whether that's someone I work with or whatever, and I think that because we're so interconnected, it's important to honor that connection. And I mean, I don't view human beings as commodities, and I think it's wrong to do that. So I think showing appreciation is like the bare bones. It's the bare bones of how we should interact with each other, I think.
Yeah. Well, I've said this on other shows. Like, I don't know how many, like, and this is going to sound very morbid at first, but I just go with me on this, okay? I don't know how many more conversations we're going to have. And I say it like this. I say it like that because I've met you. I'm certain we're going to have more. But how many more?
Right.
Who knows? So I can take the moment and appreciate the moment for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can dismiss it. And if I dismiss it, I miss an opportunity. And everybody you meet, everybody you talk to, everybody you listen to is an opportunity. And I mean it in like the best way. It's like, it's not like you're going to advance necessarily your career or your life, but you have a better way of enriching your life. Taking a moment and talking and say, and just, bullshitting, like talking about the things and the stuff, because really all of the stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
The thing I say that's similar to that is I'm gonna tell you how old I am, since you're like dying to know, and you're
you know what?
I know you're not dying to know, but I'm 52, and I am like, the way I say it is, dude, half my life is gone already. I'm on the downhill of my life, so I'm gonna do what I can to make life better, because really all we have left. Yes, our books may or may not live on, whatever, but who you touch and who knew you, that's what's important, I think.
See, I have it even simpler. I know there's nothing I do is guaranteed to last. There's a freedom with that. See, that means I can do whatever I want. And that's a wonderful gift. Right? No matter who you are, right? You're probably not going to fuck it up that badly. Yeah, that sounds like a very, very, very simple way of looking at it.
I feel like that's a challenge.
You know what? I'll take you up on it. Like, you see, here's the thing. You're at that point. You're almost at that point. You're almost there. You're not quite there, but you're almost there. Where you're almost at your second recess. My dad's in his like mid-60s, and I get to watch him, and I enjoying it because he's in some ways, because I realize as you get older, it's harder to change. But also there are parts of yourself that you're just okay with.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm good with this fuck up. I'm good with it.
And you give a lot fewer fucks about what other people think.
I'm legitimately terrified. I got to this point at 15 years before my father got to this point. So by the time I get to hit 15 years from now, I am probably going to be the craziest motherfucker on the planet. I'm probably going to be. I'm good with that. But I say it like I say it like this because I realized something really wonderful. Since that's the case, I can do whatever I want, and I can try things, and I can fail, and I can succeed. And honestly, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. It matters, and it doesn't. Where it doesn't matter is because it's not going to last. Yeah,
it matters in the short term. It doesn't matter in the long term.
Well, I tend to go like so. Rita Hayworth's Shawshank Redemption is one of my favorite like Stephen King stories and movies. It's both. Like, it's one of the few Stephen King movies that's great. That's great as a theater movie, and it's a great short story. Yes. Right? So you're busy living or you're busy dying. What is living? And I broke it down to just 2 sentences. Doing what you love with people you love.
Yes.
Who fucking cares about anything else? Right?
Yes.
That's it. That's it.
I agree with
Nothing else matters. I don't care who remembers me. I don't care. No, and I sound that I just care that the people I love know I love them. I just care that I'm doing what I love. And that's...
I have another care. I have a care that I am a good influence on the people around me, because I don't think there's enough good in the world, and we certainly don't hear enough good in the world.
We don't.
So if I can be a source of positivity, or not, and I don't mean positivity like, Tony Robbins.
Rick and Ray.
No. I mean, just like being a good person, someone people can rely on, and that kind of thing. And, using my brains to help people in whatever way that however that looks. That is also a big important part for me.
Can I just push back a little gently on you on this one?
Josh, you can think whatever you want.
No. I know. I just want to push back slightly because I had a thought you might want to consider. That's all.
Okay.
If you're doing what you love and you're telling the people that you love them and you are doing the things you're supposed to do, is that not a good influence?
I mean, it depends, I think, because like those are things that are much more about me and much less about other people. Yes, telling people I love them is important for them too, but there's also, I've learned a lot of things over my life. Some things I charge people for, but
of course.
But a lot of things I don't. And I do that because I want people around me, not just my friends, but just people who come in contact with me, to have positive experiences and to come away from that feeling good. I don't always succeed at that, but that is generally my goal, because if I can make somebody's life a little happier, then, I mean, again, we don't see, like, I do a lot of like stranger compliments, not creepy, like, hey baby, you got great tits, not that. I only do that to my friends.
I got these now.
But like if I see somebody and they have just like a really good look, like they're, just however they look just looks amazing, and I'll tell them that. Or if their hair looks fabulous, or if they've got a really cool outfit on, or great shoes, or whatever, it doesn't matter. If I genuinely appreciate that, I'm going to tell them, because again, making the world a better place, and I don't lose anything. It doesn't hurt me to do it. And you never know what you're gonna, like they may be having the shittiest day in the world, and that just may be something they needed to hear.
So
I'm a little bit Pollyanna sometimes.
No,
I'm a very realistic Pollyanna, but I'm a little bit Pollyanna.
I don't believe in realism. I don't think realism exists. I have no idea what real is, and I don't think anybody else does either. To be perfectly blunt. Well, no, it's we're all crazy.
Yeah.
So how the hell can we tell it's real?
Perception is reality.
That's right. So what is real then? Right? Everybody's perception is different, right? So what is real? I have a. So this is what I did I've done this. I do this every once in a while. I will go to random people on my Facebook page. And I'll send them an audio message about why I appreciate them.
Yes, I love that. I have a friend who used to send random texts going, on this day in whatever year, and give me a little snippet of what happened. And they'll be like, I just want you to know that you are appreciated, and, like says beautiful things. And I'm just
yeah. So going back to my initial question about this is the only thing I will throw back at you. I think when you are going out there and you have the freedom to be yourself, people see that. I think it encourages them to actually be the same. Yeah. And I think, and if I think, and to be truthfully, if I cannot think of a better influence to have on people than to encourage them to find whatever it is inside them that makes them awesome, and do that. And the way to do that is just to be like me, in one sense, like me, stark raving mad and just doing the things I do. Right. I have this tendency to look at people in general, and you can see like magic every single day if you choose to. I think good, I think good is not as pronounced as bad. See, partially by design of the world. We live in a world today where we have a big giant media companies that want to make all of us miserable and say, the world is really a bad place out there, ladies and gentlemen. Look at what's going on across the sea. Look at this terrible thing. So you don't have to look at this terrible thing also going on at the same time, because
that's right next door.
well, like not going to get too political, but I mean, the Ukraine thing is a terrible thing, but at the same time, U.S. right now is bombing Somalia, and no one's talking about that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very hilarious thing that we're condemning Russia for doing what they're doing to Ukraine, and yet here we are doing the same shit to somebody else.
Yes.
That's kind of hypocritical, right? That's just my own thing. Now, no matter what side you on the fence you look at, Ukraine people are suffering. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But again, we're going to show you this magic door, so you don't ignore this magic door. Which is why I don't generally want to listen to the media anymore. I just find my own news and other sources and just go with it. I have, when it comes to media, politics, and any big corporation, I am an atheist. That's just the way I am, right? Truly an atheist. I am a complete skeptic. I don't believe, if my prime minister told me that the sky was blue, I'd look up, because I just don't. I have that little faith in my system. That might say something about me, but that's just where I'm at. So I can look at that and be really mad about what I see going on in the world. Or, because that shit always is pronounced. Or I can look at the things that are always happening to me, like right now. Like, for example, when I was walking out, I'm in Canmore, Alberta, beautiful mountain area. I'm walking down the main road. Literally beside me, right? I'm going down the street. Caribou are sitting down, minding their own damn business, sitting in this forest.
Yeah,
like, pretty much, yeah. That is. I got these gorgeous mountains. Literally, I'm going to be so sad when I leave these bad boys behind for like a little while. I think I'm coming back here as soon as I fucking make my fortune. I'm making it rain, motherfucker, so I can come back. Anyways, but the whole thing is. And also, I do this show all the time. I get to talk to people all the time. And one of the things I realize, there's a lot more good than there is bad. We have a tendency to look at these really terrible things that are honked at us a zillion different ways and go, oh my God, this is terrible. Yeah. But even in the pandemic, I could see great things happening all around me. Like, good always is right there with the bad. The hard thing sometimes is, so I guess the way I would put this is like this. Right now, I cannot see the mountains outside my door because it's snowy. It's got like this misty thing going on. These giant ass mountains are hidden behind this mist. But the thing is, and so it looks bad from like, again, it's terrible. It's absolutely fucking terrible. Then you walk through the mist and you see the mountains. It's just where they've always been. Yes. And that's how I see the world. It's not. I know for a fact that my leaders are giant fuck-ups. I know for a fact that these corporations are trying to become disposable plastic models. And I know for a fact that the media is not going to tell me anything remotely true. That all said, I have caribou in my backyard. I got mountains here. I can get access to ice cream. I got great people. There are great people literally everywhere. Mm-hmm. And it's just, what do you dwell on? And the thing is, what I've learned is, fuck that noise. I'm going to worry about the magic and good I can see in front of me instead of what a magic screen tells me. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think you and I have slightly different views of things, but that's okay. We're allowed.
Yeah, totally. Hey, listen, I am an old enough man to realize that the world does not work the way completely. We're both batshit crazy. And I'm open enough about it. And I could be wrong. Now, my head says no, but that's okay. I'm good enough. I am a big enough man to see that we all see the world in a different way. But that's wonderful in and of itself, don't you think?
Yes, I agree. No, I agree.
Yeah, I wouldn't want.
That's one of the things I like to have discussions with people of differing views, because even if I don't agree with them, I mean, assuming that they are not really batshit crazy, because there are some really batshit crazy people out there, but like, you know, no, you know what I'm talking about.
I don't know. Hey, listen, there's zealots on every side of the argument. There always is.
Exactly. Yeah. But like, as long as they're not like that, you know, even if we have a difference of opinion, that's fine. But it also, discussing differences like that also helps me to either solidify, be like, okay, then yes, what I believe is actually what I believe, or gives me some more information to maybe shift my thinking to something that feels more right for me, you know? So I like having discussions with people who don't necessarily agree with me, as long as they're not, you know, pedantic about it, or, you know, they're not, as long as they come at it with good faith, in good faith. You know what I mean?
If people are honest, I can respect their opinion.
Yes,
Even
exactly.
even if I don't agree with it. I did I did an article for a magazine, and I was comparing Canada to 1930s Germany,
Mhm.
right? And that was a little depressing when I finished that.
Mhm.
But I talked to some friends from Germany because I had a friend from Germany because again, I don't have the entire history nailed down, and they have a German culture.
Right.
So there's actually a friend of mine. She's been on this show a few times. She's drawn on this show. We had a hell of a back and forth about some things. Like she completely disagreed with my article, completely. But we both came out of it with a better, like it made my article better because there are things I didn't see or I didn't understand. And here's the thing. It's not really about, I don't want people to have the same point of views about the world because that's fucking boring.
Yes.
Right? Right. It's fucking boring. What I want, and this is what I want, is I want people with an open enough mind to listen.
Yes.
And that's it. That's all I want. And we don't have to agree. Who cares? I'll still have a beer with you. Right?
We can still hang out.
Yeah, exactly. And just because we see the world differently, honestly, that should embolden your point of view a little bit because you're allowed to have that point of view. You know what I mean?
Yep. I like smart discussions about difficult topics. You know, it's one of my things. My love language is communication. Like if I can sit with somebody and just have a really cool conversation, I will feel closer to them. That's how I create intimacy, is having really cool conversations with people. That's how I make friends. That's how I, make connections with people. So yeah, so that's a thing I love to do.
Yeah. So before we wrap this bad boy up, you didn't win Indie Mayhem, did you?
No, I didn't. I was a loser.
Nah,
I'm not good at those kind of games. I am not good at that. Oh, lie and make so.
Well, no, it's not lying. It's embellishment. That's the thing. Like what I think. So I actually a little bit of a secret here. The first time I went on the show, they lost all that footage. So they put me back in as another contestant on another show. So I realized the first time I did the show, I was like, okay, I was a little too serious. This is not about a serious thing.
That was my thing, I think.
So, like, for example, like, I think my favorite question he asked me is, like, I have a thing about, I hate my rabbits and deer savaging my garden. What should I do? I answered, kill them all. She's like, that's extreme. I like it. Right? But that's the context of the show.
Yes.
Right? That's not what I really would do. Right? What I really would do is, like, I know how to bake repellents and stuff like that. And also some of it you're just going to accept. There's going to be some fat ass rabbits in your garden. It's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, hey, rabbits got to eat too, man.
Hey, that's right. That's right.
Rabbits got to eat too.
Yeah. So, but anyways, is there anything you want to say, Ron, that bastard, for making us both losers? You want to say, taking your fist is good. Just taking her fist, ladies and gentlemen. I got rid of this. So.
Oh. Yeah, it's audio. You can't hear that. I'll have to shake
you
louder.
can't hear the shake fit. Like the people watching Twitch can. That's right. Okay, now we probably should talk about your books at some point.
we might should, right?
Yeah. Well, I've had fun. You got to come back at some point.
Yes, I will.
Maybe when we got a little bit longer time, because that way we could probably really talk about the things and the stuff.
Yeah.
What I will say is then I will ask this will be like the last serious question, then we'll get to the wrap up. 2018, you go, okay, I'm into the writing. So how many books have you done since? Like how's that ride been for you?
I currently have 2 novels, 2 novelettes in the same series, all in the same series. And I write under a pen name and I write smut under a pen name. And I've got a novel and a short story out on that side.
So I'll let you know a little secret. So this show, one of the reasons this show did take off was the Calgary romance writing community. I have a soft spot for that because the truth is, and we'll do this maybe a little bit more detail next time you come on the show, romance, erotica, quote unquote smut, it's not the easiest shit in the world to do. Also, you guys might be the most cutting edge in terms of publishing, and that is something. Oh no, yeah, it's actually I'm a science fiction guy, and the thing that actually befuddles my mind about the science fiction genre
I
is
did not want
how
to embrace ebooks.
it hurts me. It hurts
Science
me.
fiction people did not want to embrace ebooks.
Yeah.
Romance readers were like, "Give me all the words. Give me all of them."
Well, no, it's not though. Okay, I like physical books. I'm an old school guy. I like the physical book
Sure.
thing. It's not even that though. It's the fact that I'm dealing with sci-fi writers who are like, I don't want to go into the 21st. It's like, really? You're the fiction of the future. And then meanwhile, the romance people, they're playing with Kindles and NFTs and right. I haven't seen. Maybe you know more than I do about this. Is I haven't seen a romance Kickstarter, and I'm almost tempted to.
I feel like they're not really necessary.
Well, no, they might that might not be, but it would be interesting. This like just on a like maybe that personal like curiosity kind of thing. No, romance does not need Kickstarter. If you got yourself established there, you're rolling, and you're doing quite well.
Romance readers are the biggest demographic.
Oh yeah, no, totally, and they were ironically probably the biggest death knell. We'll do this another day, but probably the biggest death knell to traditional publishing is when romance pretty much went indie completely, because traditional cannot keep up with romance. You just cannot do it. And that's a conversation for another day, ladies and gentlemen, because we would be here another hour, I'm sure, talking about publishing.
And I have to go pick up a friend of mine because I'm driving her to the airport so she can go to Taiwan at like 6:30 tomorrow morning. So
that's a hell of an evil red eye flight. So listen, what you should do then is do two things, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up and do some stuff. Plug your latest book, whatever that is, and where people can find you.
All right. So probably the easiest way to find me is to take a link in the notes below, because there's no way you'll remember how to how to spell my name. How about that? Yeah. So in the show notes, there should be a link to me somewhere, somehow.
VenessaGiunta.com?
Yep. Remember VE, not VA.
Yeah, no, I did you see how I put you up here?
I didn't. What am I looking at? I don't know. Oh, there. Yeah, that's me right there. So you can find me there. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, on TROILEE, because I've had the Twitter account since way before I was writing professionally, and it just didn't make any sense to make a new one. My latest book actually has been out for about 1.5 years. It is the second novel in my series. It is called Visci, VISCI. And so the final book of that series is called Hybrid, and it should be out hopefully later this year, although it might be early next year because I'm really freaking behind. So, but you can also search for the Soul Cavern series on Amazon, and you will find my books.
That is cool. So let's get to my stuff, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up. I actually am halfway prepared this time because I'm almost a trained professional in shit. Don't tell anybody.
Gasp.
I know it's almost like I know what I'm doing. Almost. First things first. My latest book release, ladies and gentlemen, is called Alice 1. It's a mashup of Alice in Wonderland and Greek mythology. Alice is Pandora. Alice chases the Queen of Hearts over the edge of the world and ends up in the Greek underworld, in which to escape, she must play croquet against Jason of the Argonauts. In this Greek underworld, Alice and company encounter gods, monsters, and perhaps the most terrifying thing of all, themselves. Available now on Amazon. See, I do this thing pretty good. The second thing. And here, now my keyboard didn't want to cooperate for a second here. No, it fixed itself. Okay, so I mentioned this earlier. I will advertise for you. I will create video, audio, graphics, words for you guys, for your websites, accounts, all that stuff. It's called jpantelresto.wordpress.com/advertising services, showcasing your projects, your businesses, and most importantly, yourselves. Click the link for more details. And that will do it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Venessa for coming on the show. Tomorrow is going to be a hoot because Janie Taylor is my guest, and me and her have a riot every time she's on the show. For everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And tomorrow we got another hit banger. Come check us out. Peace.
Bye.